Hello and welcome to Jurassic Park 3 Minutes, where we'll be discussing the second Jurassic Park sequel 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad, and today we're here to discuss minute 3 of The Lost World. No, minute 3 of Jurassic Park 3. David, anything new to discuss this week before we
Halloween is coming. Do you guys celebrate Halloween much in Australia?
It's getting more and more popular, yep.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm a big Halloween fan. So I put all the decorations up in a day, got everything out, got the corn stalks out, the pumpkins are out. None of them carved yet. I'm gonna have to buy 2 more pumpkins for carving jack-o'-lanterns. But yeah, I actually picked up 2 more masks.
I was going to say, which Halloween? You got to be specific here. The time of the year or the movie?
Both.
Both.
So yeah, that's what's new with me is all this Halloween stuff going on.
What date's that supposed to be?
Which one, the movie or the?
The time of year, Halloween. Is that the last day of October?
It's October 31st, yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, everybody in my block kind of sets out or puts stuff out early, you know.
Yeah, no, especially like last year, you got a lot of kids sort of roaming around the neighbourhood and sort of looking for any sign of Halloween decorations to sort of know if a house is going to be worth going to knock on the door of or not.
No, they definitely go all out in my neighborhood. There's one guy, he like does an entire graveyard in his front house.
Wow.
I know.
Well, that's it. You see it all the time over there, especially the sort of whole streets and that will shut the street off and have the party out in the street. You got everyone dressing up. It's almost as good as like a Comic-Con or something where you get people putting a lot of time and effort into costumes and that, getting out and wandering the streets.
Yeah. This year I wanted to do Leatherface just because. Ooh. I mean, even he gives me the creeps.
Yep.
But I have class on Wednesday night, and the 31st is a Wednesday this year, and unfortunately I won't be able to attend. So I'm thinking maybe I'll just wear my Freddy Krueger sweater around campus.
I've got one of those masks from Silence of the Lambs with the grills in the mouth.
Yeah.
I used to love just driving out in the car down the highway and looking at people as they drive past. Used to get some weird looks.
I think the neighbors are pretty much resigned to the fact that I take pictures of my mask collection out in the front yard. Because, I mean, it's shaded. I have a lot of trees out there in the front yard, and so it makes for better pictures, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Billy, I don't think I'm doing this right.
Which of the island have you explored?
I stayed pretty close to the compound. Figured if anyone came looking for me, that's where they'd start.
Alright. Ready to get into minute 3.
Yeah.
As we entered the second minute of Jurassic Park 3, Ben had pulled the ripcord in the parasail, and him and Eric had gone sailing up into the air. As we open on the 3rd minute, the 2 sail higher and higher into the air as the cable spools out. At the 8-second mark, Ben asks Eric if he's scared. Eric replies by shaking his head and says, "Nah, this is great." At the 24-second mark, we cut to see Ben holding the video camera up to his eye, looking towards this sauna. Eric asks him if he sees anything yet. He replies, "Nah, not yet." At the 30-second mark, back down at the boat, Enrique spots some mist ahead and directs his driver to go through it. At the 40-second mark, the boat leaps over pounding waves as it enters the fog. Enrique and the driver never be seen again. And as we end minute 3, Eric and Ben feel a heavy jolt through the tow cable as something dangerous happens down below. As the opening sequence continues, the parasail is lifting higher and higher into the air, and we get a quick shot of Ben controlling the parachute. As discussed last minute, it isn't something you can normally do when parasailing. But Ben asks Eric if he's scared, and Eric shakes his head and says, "Nah, this is great." So definitely enjoying the wind, the big fan in front of him blowing wind onto him, because there's two sort of different shots here. All the stuff where you can clearly see the actors' faces and they're talking is done on a little harness in the studio on a set with questionable rear screen composition.
They did it a couple times throughout this movie, and I mean, it's noticeable.
Mm-hmm. It's such a shame, especially here in this opening. Like, you got this opening sequence, you want it to be what sort of introduces you to the film, and then you got this, like, we're going to see it in a couple of minutes' time once that line gets undone and they sort of floating towards the island. Which is such a shame. They spent $93 million on this. $25 million that was spent before the final script was even half completed. Like, they'd spent $25 million on the film before they were ready to start filming. When comparing it to 8 years earlier with Jurassic Park being $65 million, it really makes you wonder how they can waste so much money. But when we get to some things, like, I definitely think animatronics and some of the CG is definitely better than what we've seen in previous films.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if, okay, they've sort of started to farm out to different effects studios and that, where you don't have ILM obviously doing everything like they once did.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, this one I do blame on Kathleen Kennedy. I know a lot of Star Wars fans love to rag on her, especially right now. But this one was Kennedy's call, and without a script, she said, "Go ahead," and this is what we got.
Mm. Yeah, there's on the behind the scenes that's on the DVD for this. There's definitely a lot of discussion about the script issues and that. I can't remember where I've seen it. I don't know now. There was an article or something I was reading the other day. Anyway, I'll find that later. It's sort of a shame. I was reading an article the other day and just how it was the wiki with the pre-production for the film. Just grain of salt, of course, but just how often scripts were getting thrown out, writers were being let go, and new writers coming on board. Because I do believe at the start, even Crichton had a pen involved at one stage before he left the project as well.
Mm.
Then you got someone like Spielberg sitting there saying, well, I want these couple of things to be included as well as a producer, and just muddying the waters more.
I actually heard the opposite about Crichton. I heard that he had no interest in being involved, and that actually David Koepp felt much the same way for most of the project until he was his arm was twisted to bring in and write the ending, because they just couldn't figure out a way to get him off the island that was believable.
So they still haven't found a way of getting them off the island that's believable.
Yeah.
I mean,
they were literally writing the movie as they were making the movie.
Yep. And that's definitely evident in some scenes later on. But I definitely believe that's the case with Crichton. Like, he got burnt. He was not happy when he got to write The Lost World, and then they pretty much shelved most of it.
Mm-hmm.
That would have definitely strained him and Spielberg's relationship at the time. Yeah, but I think the biggest sort of thing here with this reprojection stuff, or the compositing, it just sort of you've got them in the harness in the parasail moving, then you've got the camera that seems to be moving independent to that, and then you've got the screen behind moving as well. Like, you've got three separate elements moving where it should only be one or two. Lock the camera and have them move and not the scenery behind them, or have the camera as if it's mounted to them and you're moving with them but not the scenery behind. It just, I think that's why mainly it doesn't look that good. Because it's the island, it's not CG here. They've actually went, as I said last minute, they went to the island and filmed for 2 days with a helicopter, getting all these rear backing plates, but it just wasn't put together right. But Eric asks Ben if he sees anything yet. Ben replies, "Nah, not yet." Again, we said this last week. What are they going to see? He's looking through the camera. Is zooming in through a camera that's shaking all over the place. Going to allow you to look closer at the jungle and see if you can see anything moving or not. Even if he had a set of binoculars in his hand, it'd be sort of, all you'd see is, especially with the way they're moving around here in the wind, you just see sky jungle as it's all getting moved around.
Yeah, I mean, when we see the videotape later, it's not as shaky, but I mean he's still pretty far away. They weren't seeing anything, you know.
Yeah, and unless you have some sort of weighted gimbal or something set up, we've all seen home videos and that of using handheld cameras like this. Getting smaller or them being larger didn't really help the issue of them shaking around, and even now sort of going back and looking at some old videos if they're in the cupboard, it's just the whole time you're thinking to yourself, damn, hold the camera still, will you? I want to be able to focus on something, but it's moving around, it's going from one person to the other person in a blur, and you're yelling at them to do something, or they're sort of putting their hand up to block the camera because they don't want to be filmed, or something like that. And it's a common thing with the old family photos, but
My favorite is when you get a 11-year-old on YouTube with their phone filming a TV screen 3 feet away with shaky cam and bad sound. And they're talking in the background. Or laughing or giggling or something.
yeah, well, any shot like that, it's easy just to put it on a tripod, at least.
On a tripod, get a shotgun mic, and for God's sakes, shut the hell up.
Yeah. I'm bad for it here. Like a couple of times, if we go to a local convention or something and they report about it on the news, I'll be sitting there eagerly with my phone, and as soon as it comes up, I'll be on one knee in front of the TV trying to hold the phone as steady as I can to record the actual news report. And there's a couple of times on those where I'm telling the kids to be quiet, even though the thing's going, because they're talking about or yelling about it in the background. So.
No, I mean, I'll admit, when I've been guilty of it too, but it's not like I'm publishing it.
Yeah.
And for another matter, I mean, I'm dead quiet when I'm recording something. Or when I see somebody recording something and I know that they're recording sound, I'm dead quiet. We went to a live news record last Tuesday. And I mean, all the other guys in the guys and gals in the class are just whispering to each other, giggling. I'm just sitting there standing there dead quiet. I'm like, guys, it's a live set. This camera can and will pick you up. You know?
Yeah, and that's the same thing here. Like, I'm not posting it to YouTube in the attempt to get views or subscriptions or anything like that. It's just here we're at this convention, just doing the Facebook thing, and that's it. So we cut back down to the boat again as it again passes between two sort of large rocky outcrops, and you can see that mist hanging low over the water. And the dramatic music starts to build up now as the boat's sort of jumping and pounding over the sea. The boat sort of jumps off the pounding sea, and the waves have picked up definitely a lot more than they were before. Maybe just because they're a little bit close to the island, or just the wind's picked up a bit. But you'd think with the way the boat's sort of leaping around off these waves, that is what we get later with them being pulled on the line. Because yes, it's rope, so there would be a little bit of absorption in the rope, but this boat leaping off waves like it is, it should be enough to either snap the rope or give those riding the parasail up above a bit of a bad back. And there's a tangent you can go to: YouTube bad parasailing disasters or accidents. I haven't yet, and I don't really think I want to, because it definitely make me not want to strap into one ever again.
Honestly, just because of Jaws 2, I am somewhat fearful of... I mean, it's completely irrational, but it's true. I mean, there are things in the ocean we have no idea exist, and the ocean is a strange, strange place.
I wonder if, did one of the... Not Piranha? No, Sharknado... Might have been Piranha. They've done a few of the Piranha
Maybe
films.
one of the Piranha movies, yeah.
Yeah, I seem to think there's something else too where, someone's getting dropped in the... Because in Jaws, they don't lose their legs, do they? It's just sort of... I know the boat explodes.
Yeah.
But I don't think the parasailer's injured. Where whatever I'm thinking of, the parasailer's into the water and the legs disappear. Pretty bloody too.
Yeah, I'm probably imagining it'd be Piranha.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably Piranha Double D or whatever, whatever they call that second one. I suppose we're in the same sort of mindset here for this film as well, being just one of those dumb popcorn movie sequels. I was actually thinking today about how much the franchise sort of mirrors Aliens a little bit. Where you sort of got Alien, the original, where it's sort of that isolation on the island. More so civilians, no weapons, and all hell breaks loose. Yes, you got more than one dinosaur, but it's only 3 raptors, it's only 1 T-Rex, and the Dilophosaur. Where then you move into the Lost World, or Aliens, where you got the military / mercenaries there. A lot more raptors, a lot more, or twice the dinosaur, the T-Rexes and everything else. And then here with Jurassic Park 3, or like Alien 3, everything you know is dead. Yes, you get Grant back, but he sort of seems a little bit dead inside as well, some would say. And and it just sort of, again, just more of a smaller, but getting back to that, a family or those that haven't experienced anything like this before and being isolated again. But anyway.
I think that, the comparison stops with the 4th. Just because, Jurassic World is salvageable, but Alien Resurrection is a complete abortion of a movie.
I'll disagree slightly with you. I probably mainly because it was my first entry into the franchise, and again, that nostalgia and how toxic it can be. But now, sort of stepping aside from that, I definitely prefer Aliens. But
I'm going to say that. Sure. Actually, Alien Resurrection was my introduction to the movies as well. But I have zero nostalgia for it. Mm-hmm. If only because there's only really 2 scenes that really kind of had an impact in me. One was the aliens cannibalizing the one so that they could escape, and the other was Ripley flicking her acidic blood at the window so that the newborn, or whatever that abortion you call with that thing, could be sucked out of the spaceship.
Well, doesn't, again, that sort of mirrors what we got here too, and what I'll argue as being one of the things the Star Wars films always had, and even though some people don't see that, is just a series of scenes being strung together with not much substance in between. Especially here on this film, just sort of, you got a couple of these big sequences, and then either not a lot happening in between, or just no script in between.
Honestly, my favorite is Aliens, but my second favorite isn't the first one. It's the third, Alien 3, the assembly cut that they call it.
Yep, with the dog and not the ox.
No, with the ox, not the dog.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yep.
Yeah, that one. The human drama alone makes the movie far more intriguing than the theatrical cut. Just because, it makes the movie entertaining. Mm-hmm. They just butchered this movie a lot like they did with Alien 3. Jurassic Park 3. They just had too many spoons in that pot. Everybody wanted something out of the movie, and they just butchered it,
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's what I was saying before about how I feel the franchise sort of lends to the Aliens one, where Ripley goes through all that to save Newt, only for them to be dead at the start of the film, where here, and this is only through other fans' headcanon here, not my personal beliefs, but Sarah and crew nearly dying to save the baby Rex, only to have it die here, which I know it's not the same one, and I don't advocate that, but a lot of fans do believe that, unfortunately, and you can sort of have that same sort of similarity if you believe that, which I don't, so I'm not going to mention anything else about it. But as the minute ends here, we sort of get a shot down the tow line as the boat disappears into thick fog. And Eric asks about the boat, and Ben doesn't know. And at the same time, there's something heavy tugging on the tow line.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'd put that down to more the boat crashing over the waves, but No, there's something down on the boat, and in a minute we're going to see the aftermath of that.
Now, I think it's interesting. I mean, we get this fog patch here, but it's an otherwise beautiful, cloudless day on the island. There's really one thing I've kind of faulted Jurassic Park 3 for, and I will admit I've lightened up about it in recent years, going back and rewatching the movie in high definition. Mm-hmm. But the feeling about the Lost World version of Isla Sorna was that it was this creepy, dank, mist-shrouded, scary place. And Isla Sorna, as it's represented here, almost reminds me more of Isla Nublar in the first film. Not just because of the foliage, but because the way that the foliage is filmed, it kind of shows off the island in a beautiful eye, if you will. It kind of shows off the island as not this dank, kind of scary place, but more as like paradise lost, you know?
Yeah, and we definitely, we didn't discuss that for the opening minute the opening episode with the trailer discussion and that, but yeah, just how bright the island here. None of the colours have been washed out or anything like we see in the Lost World.
Yeah, the first time we see Isla Sorna in the Lost World, it's a cloudy day. The waves are roaring against the cliffs. There's some sunlight kind of peeking through the clouds when we see Kathy get chomped later. Mm-hmm. But it's an otherwise very dangerous feeling place. I mean, they actually used lion roars when the waves are crashing against the cliffs to make it sound scarier. Yep. Here, it's like a calm... I mean, it's what you expect from your typical ocean wave, but it's otherwise calm, crystal clear day. You know?
Yeah, and I think the other thing to sort of add to it as a bit of a knock as well is the fact that here we're getting that triumphant Jurassic Park theme, which is just, again, linking you back to Jurassic Park. It's strange here that they didn't decide to go with a callback to the Lost World, considering we're back on Sorna and not Nublar. And I think it's even more annoying when you watch the behind the scenes, and the entire behind the scenes for this film that's on the DVD is scored by the Lost World. There's one little track from Jurassic Park on there, but pretty much the whole thing is Malcolm's Journey and the track and some other things, some other scores on that behind the scenes featurette. Which, if you're going to use it for the featurette, why don't you use it for the film? But yeah, we'll get to more score as we get going. As for the script comparisons, there's nothing to add here. We sort of don't get anything again until we get the reveal of what's happened to the boat. So, David, anything else on minute 3 you want to discuss before we get heavy for the day?
Yeah, I think we covered that pretty well.
Alright. If you want to get a hold of us, you can email us at lostworldminute.com. The main website is jurassicminutes.wordpress.com, and you can find the Lost World Minutes and Jurassic Minutes over on Facebook with the pages there. David, where are you on Twitter and Instagram?
Twitter, we are at Jurassic Minute. Instagram is the Jurassic Minutes Podcast.
Some of the worst things imaginable have been done with the best intentions.
This is how you make dinosaurs?
No. This is how you play God.
If we split up, I'm going with you guys.
Dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago. What is left of them is fossilized in the rocks, and it is in the rock that real scientists make real discoveries. Now, what John Hammond and InGen did at Jurassic Park is create genetically engineered theme park monsters, nothing more and nothing less.
Are you saying that you wouldn't want to get onto Isla Sorna and study them if you had the chance?
No force on earth or heaven could get me on that island.
Your desk.
Hello?
Charlie! Charlie!
Hello?
Charlie, take the phone to Mommy now! It's the dinosaur man!
Okay.